Today, I couldn't be more excited. I'm going to talk with one of my long-term online, I don't know, what do you call us? Online friends, online associates. The woman, the myth, the legend, Authoress and Jillian Boehme. Jillian, how are you today?
I'm very well, thanks.
I am so excited to talk with you. Probably a good place to get started because I'm terrible with other people's biographies. Other people's biographies and other people's books. If I try to summarize it, I'm going to make a mess of it. So just give esteemed audience kind of an overview of your background.
Well, I actually have a degree in music education. I was a piano major and thought maybe I would be a music teacher, but that didn't work out. I've actually been writing from a very young age. And I had actually a wonderful third grade teacher who really encouraged me. She compiled a book of my short stories and poems through the entire school year, and then we presented that to our school library. And then many years later, I went back to my elementary school and asked them if they still had it, and they did. So I got to bring it home, and I have it. It's a treasure. So even though I took another path in college, I think that writing is really my roots. That I returned to many years later. I taught for a little while and then started my family, made the decision to stay at home with my kids. And the writing started to grow back into my life while I was raising my kids. So here I am.
And I'm so curious, anytime I talk to somebody who has a passion other than writing and yet is so clearly so passionate about writing, no one in their right mind could say that the woman that ran Miss Sark's victim for how many years now?
Oh, like maybe 12, I think. I think it's 12.
That's passion. You can't argue that that's not passionate for writing. And even if you did, if you read Stormrise, which you should do, esteemed audience, read Stormrise, you're going to love it. It has the ninja seal of approval. You're going to feel that passion. So there's no question in my mind that you love writing. So I'm always fascinated when I talk to somebody who loves something else because writing so rarely leaves room for something else. True. When you are doing music and you sing and you play piano, right?
I'm a pianist, yeah. But
does that fulfill that same need as writing, or is it possible to have both of those things, both those loves and passions, going equally at the same time?
It really is, but I think that it's important to put most of your energy into what you do best. And I think that if I compare myself as a musician and as a writer, what I've discovered in the last decade or so is that writing is something that I am able to do better. So the music, what is very important to me, I do sing with the Nashville Symphony Chorus, which is amazing because the Nashville Symphony is an amazing group of musicians, and they've really grown over the last couple of decades. They are now a Grammy award-winning symphony, so it's an honor and a privilege, and it's very humbling to sing with them. In fact, it's Messiah Week this week, so we're going to be doing our annual Messiah performances. So I'm really pumped about that because it really fills a very deep passion in my soul because I've been doing music for as long as I've been doing writing as well. I started the piano at 6. But when it's all said and done, you make a choice to be professional at something. And I made the choice to stay home with my children, which meant putting the music aside. And, if you want to be really good at music, you have to put a lot of time into the practicing. And so I don't think that I could do both. I don't think I could be a musician to this level and a writer to this level as well. But when it comes to that, what you said, that meeting that need, like on the inside, do they meet the same thing? They really do, because I think that creative thing that's inside of all of us, whether we're writers, artists, whatever we are, I think it's in the same place. And so however we're expressing that does meet that need, maybe just in a little different way. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I never know what to call that need. Is it a spiritual need? Is it just a hole inside where your better parenting maybe would have corrected for it?
Maybe that's it. It's definitely a hole, though. It's a creation-shaped hole, and so whatever our creativity is, we have to fill that with what's inside us, and it makes us, I think, more alive. And I mean, I don't want to sound dramatic, but I feel bereft when, and I know you understand that, if that's not somehow happening. So yeah, but I need them both in my life for sure.
Oh, I meet people constantly who do not have that problem, and I'm a little bit jealous. Like, you just go home, and then what do? Watch Netflix, and that's it. Yeah, it's nice. I bet it is. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But when obviously you're still doing both in some capacity, so you haven't ever traded one for the other completely. I'm assuming that even when you were a music major, 100% focused on music, were you still finding time to write creatively anywhere in there?
Not really. I mean, my biggest accomplishment in my college years was I wrote a scathing editorial in the school newspaper because somebody in the cafeteria would not let me take my coffee out in a thermos to my 8 o'clock class, which I had been doing all semester, because there was some policy about not leaving the premises with food. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is my caffeine for my 8 o'clock class. They seriously wouldn't let me leave with the coffee. So I wrote an editorial that was not very nice, but funny and scathing. And I was very proud of myself for doing that. But I mean, that's all I really did because I was a music geek. I spent hours in the practice room. It was my life. And I really feel like I lost sight of my writing because I had these other interests. I was also in high school, I was really into theater. And I'm really surprised, actually, that I chose music over theater because I just loved theater. So I was just one of those kids who was involved in everything too much. And the writing just wasn't on the rungs of the ladder. So I'm glad I found my way back.
You still occasionally find an outlet for some theater work, or is going out and doing author visits and all this promotion filling that need?
You know what? It really does. I mean, I know a lot of authors are very nervous when they're presented with the possibility of having to speak, present, be on a panel. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I got this. Because if you give me a microphone, I'm really happy. So I think I'm tapping into that part of me as well, that part that doesn't mind presenting to an audience, because in a way it's just you're performing. It's a performance. And as a musician and as a years ago theater geek, I mean, I did a lot of performing. So I think that's helping me now as a debut author not get all worked up about having to talk to people. And I've actually really enjoyed it. So, yeah.
I think that's a huge advantage in the author world. It's kind of like being the shortest midget, the tallest midget. If you can go out and you can, I like shortest midget better, but whatever. If you can go out and you can talk to people you're already head and shoulders above so many introverts that want to stay home and do all the writing.
Oh, yeah, it's true. So I'm actually very thankful because actually I am an introvert, as so many of us are. But I might be more of an ambivert, which is that middle ground. Because a lot of people, when I tell them I'm an introvert, they don't believe me. Like, no, you're not an introvert. Like, yeah, I just like to talk. Don't get confused. I'm really an introvert. So yeah, I do feel like it's an advantage because it can be really scary to authors who really would rather just stay home with their cat and write, you know?
Which ultimately is, I think, what we should want from authors, because it's the books we want. I love, don't get me wrong, I love when authors come on the podcast and talk to me. That's exciting and wonderful. I love seeing authors at events. But at the same time, if I'm talking to a favorite author and they're trying to figure out how to spend their year, and they're like, okay, well, I can write 2 books this year, or I can write a book and do this many visits. Like, no, write 2 books. I won't be able to see all the visits. I can read both books.
Stay home and write. Yeah.
Your cat needs you. Get back to your office. I tested. I don't know how accurate these tests are, especially not when I'm talking about a test I took 20 some odd years ago. But I originally tested as equally ambivert, half extrovert, half introvert, which made perfect sense to me. Like, oh, that explains my life, because I'll run out and I'll start some stuff, and then I'll be like, oh, that's enough. I got to go hang out by myself for a bit.
You fill up and you max out and you're done, and you just have to go home and hide. And
I'm married someone who's the same way, which is very convenient, because we'll go out to an event together, and we'll be wing people. We'll support each other and get it all out, and then the next day we're gonna go to our separate corners of the house and have total quiet time. And she understands, and I understand. Everyone's happy.
Okay with that. That's beautiful.
So I've tried to In my earlier years, I tried dating someone who was an extreme extrovert all the time. Like, no, this isn't going to work. Sorry,
no
I can't hang.
No, that's exhausting, right? Yeah.
The other thing, because I was also a bit of a theater nerd, and what always bugged me is I transferred a little bit into film, and that was a little bit more satisfying. Because what bugs me about theater is even when you get it 100% perfect, it's for that audience only, and then you got to find a way to do it again the next night. And then if it didn't go so well the next night, I'd be just horrified. Like, oh. Whereas with writing, certainly, you can get that thing honed to where it's exactly what you wanted to say, the way you wanted to say it. There it is. People can dislike it if they want to, but by God, I'm not going to feel guilty because we have a difference of opinion. I'm 100% on board that that's what I meant to say.
That's right. They don't see the mess beforehand. They don't see the mistakes and the process.
And the other nice thing is once it's really done, then I can walk away. And I only had to be that smart for that day. I don't need to keep it with me. So if you asked me about flying saucers, I could have told you everything there was to know about them when I was doing the Book of David. But now that's almost 2 full books ago. I have some knowledge, but not much. It's mostly gone. I just knew it perfectly on the day. We're good.
That's right.
Well, since I brought it up, let's just transition to that question everybody listening knows I have to ask you sooner or later. Jillian Boehme, have you ever seen a flying saucer, and do you believe in them?
Rob, I have never seen a flying saucer, and I really want to believe in them. How's that?
I like it.
Okay.
I want to see one, too. I haven't seen one, but it's on my bucket list.
Yeah.